a visitor's cited website design as an important factor for determining a business's credibility. And 56% of money spent in the offline environment is influenced by a digital interaction. And I'd venture to say that that number has gone up. So, we know we need a modern website, and how do we do that? First, we'll start with strategic design. And what is the purpose of your website? What is the purpose of every page? Each page of your website should serve a purpose to inform or call for an action. So the first thing we'll do is outline our website. This is a sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages that most websites have. And what is the purpose of them, and where are they going to lead the buyer, potential buyer? So start with a list and determine the purpose of each page. Then you're going to streamline and prioritize your navigation. Not every single page on your website should be in your main menu. So we have an example here. CannaCon is a show we also attend, and you can see they have just 3 things in their menu, but they have a slew of pages, and so they prioritize what they want their potential customer to do, and it is find a location, it is become an exhibitor and get the details you need to make your life as an exhibitor easier, and to register to attend. And then you can see they have a number of other pages. They have footer menus, and each location page has a menu to get to specific details about the show, but they don't want to overwhelm you on the homepage. Then we're going to add a call to action to every page and or section of the website. So here's an example of another website we built for a group in the Northeast, and their 3 main objectives are right here: connect, donate, join, and a similar up at the top with their jobs, their education, events, outreach, and members. Seavault is another site we built, and you can see right at the top, shop now. They want you to shop, and then they've made it even easier by only including the shop categories in the main menu. So yes, they have an about page, they have a blog, they have all these other pages, but really they want you to get to the heart of what you're looking for quickly and make the purchase. This is also just a number of sections on their website, and you can see each section has a call to action. Okay, then we're going to declutter and remove unnecessary distractions. So this is an example. We didn't build this website, but you may have heard of Marie. She's quite successful in marketing, and it's her belief that you shouldn't even put your social media on your website. If you can see, she's got 4 things she wants you to do. She doesn't want you to click off to her Facebook page and then get lost because you see something about your cousin or your mom, and then you've forgotten why you were on Facebook, and you leave Facebook and you've never made the purchase or connected with her. Okay, according to Google, more than half of people say that they look poorly on brands with mobile sites that are not designed for use on a smartphone. So if you do not have a mobile-friendly site, it is not good. Is your site responsive? What that means is, does your website respond to the device it's being viewed on, whether it's your phone, in a vertical position, a tablet, a desktop, in a more horizontal position. So, if you're using WordPress or Shopify or Squarespace, some of these platforms, a lot of them have responsiveness built in, but if WordPress not always does, so you need to make sure you're working with a responsive theme. So, how do we know if your website is responsive? We have a link here. It's free. It's Google, and it'll just, you put in your URL, hit the button, and it'll tell you whether or not your site's responsive. Now, all of these links that I'm going to share with you during the talk are available on our website, so you don't have to try to write it down. You can take pictures, but if you go to cannasite.com/White Label World Expo, which is the name of this event, you'll get all of the links. So, it's a great idea to run this quick, easy, takes 30 seconds But basically, you put your URL in, it's gonna do its thing, and it's gonna tell you if your page is friendly or not. If it is not friendly, it'll have a details link that you can click on. It'll tell you what's wrong and give you some steps to fix. Some of it might be advanced, but at least you can take it to someone that knows how to help you. Then we're going to test drive your site on mobile. You'll ask your friends, family to send screenshots of any issues they see. This is great because we don't all have every possible phone device, right? So if you're on an iPhone, you can send it to some friends that have Android or Samsung or any of the other ones. You can see what they see too. This is an example of an accessible website where you can see the site moves and compresses to change with the size of the device. Okay, is your site accessible? This is becoming a bigger deal particularly for companies with 50 or more employees, because you may have heard about employers are now suing businesses for not having an accessible website. So we need to make sure it's accessible. The first thing to do is embrace white space and high contrast. The most important example of this is the body copy on your website. Here we go again. Well, it's gonna think about it. Anyway, I'll say that black on white is the most contrast you can get. So black text on a white background is the easiest to read and the best way to go. The reverse of white text on a black background could also work. Yeah, with your body copy. Now, I have no problem with colorful headlines, things that get attention, but the small copy that you want people to read needs to be easy to read. One exception to that might be hyperlinks, colored hyperlinks, so they stand out from the rest of your text. If you can see the slide, the next thing says increase your font size. It needs to be large enough to read. I think that when we went to school, we were taught like 12-point type when you were writing papers, and that seems to be the standard, but it's really too small for the web. Especially in the day and age now where people are scanning. They're not reading every word. So we want it to be 13 or 14 minimum. And I got some tests again. Tests for how to determine if your website is accessible. This one is a Google Chrome extension. So you install it on your Chrome browser and click the button and it'll tell you if it's accessible. It's free. I think the other two are free. They may not be, but this one certainly is. And this is what Lighthouse looks like, the Google Chrome extension. It breaks down your site with different scores, this one being accessibility, and it has issues. It shows up what might be the issue and how you can improve it. And then you can run the test again, see if it fixes it. Okay, next section, oh my goodness, is content. Yeah, it keeps going in and out. Like for education? To build a website, I would say the easiest builder right now is probably Squarespace. It's economical and it's easy, and you can do a lot of it yourself. WordPress sites that we build are also easy to use, but we do train our customers how to use them so that they're not left having to pay someone else more money to fix it. Okay, so content is king. Have you updated your content recently? If you don't have a website, do you have content for it? We are first going to revisit all the content, refresh the copy on every page, making sure it's relevant to the goal that we outlined in the beginning. Keep it brief. Paragraphs should be 2 to 3 sentences, or use bullet points. They're highly scannable. Unless you're writing an in-depth sales page for a course, I would keep it, short and easy to scan. Consistently add new content to develop authority, and that could be anything, right? It could be blogs, specials, projects, testimonials. Anytime you add new content to your website, you're giving Google another opportunity to crawl your website, which will get you in the rankings. So the more pages that get indexed by Google, the more your site will appear. And some businesses have a natural source of content, like specials, maybe restaurants and changing menus, things like that. So we highly recommend those businesses create a blog if you don't have natural content. And it could be informational about your business. It could be informational about your industry. Doesn't have to be necessarily specific to your business every time. Become a valuable resource so that people will keep coming back to your website. And if your budget allows, hire a copywriter. Copywriting is easy for some and not for others. Some people love to write, and that's great. If you don't, that's totally fine. Hire someone to help you. LinkedIn is a great place to find people. We recommend adding 2 pages to your website per month at a minimum. So 2 blogs per month. Even 1 blog per month is something. Okay, is your site optimized for search engines? First thing you want to do is set up Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools. They are both free. You then submit your sitemaps. If you don't have a sitemap, WordPress has plugins that make them for you. I'm assuming that Squarespace, Shopify, those sites have solutions as well. And then address any errors that may come up. So this is what Google Search Console looks like. It can be overwhelming, as can like analytics or any of those tools, but again, they're totally free. And you're simply going to add, here's the sitemap menu, you simply paste in your sitemap links, and that's it. And Google will go crawl your website. So if you launch a site, you don't wait for people to show up or wait for Google to find it. Go submit your sitemaps immediately. If you haven't done it yet, go do it tonight. Okay, if there's an issue, Google's going to tell you. They make it very easy. You'll get an email, hey, there's an issue, you go fix it, you submit it and tell them you fixed it, and they're like, great. So when you keep up with your site health, if you will, Google will reward you. Add metadata to every page, title, link, image, etc. So it's a lot of busy work, but it's worth it. When I'm talking about metadata, this is what we're talking about when you Google. This is a meta title, and this is your meta description. You can control what the visitors see when they Google you. If you don't add metadata, Google will decide for you. And that's not always optimal, right? They might pick an unimportant fact, they might pick an image caption. So you can do this easily. Again, WordPress provides lots of plugins to add metadata. Squarespace and Shopify both made it easy to add titles and descriptions. I would say that Yoast is probably the most popular WordPress plugin, as is All-in-One SEO. And Yoast has a free version. They do have a premium version, but the free version works. YOAST, like toast, but with a Y. Okay, then we're going to ask and answer questions that your audience is searching and include those words in your content. So we know that when you start to type something into Google, it provides you some commonly asked questions. And so Google gives you the information that you need. Just by starting to do some searches, seeing what people are talking about, then go take those exact, don't have it, but take the exact questions you think your users or potential customers are searching and ask the question on the website and answer it. Makes it super simple. Then you may have seen on search engine results pages when Google highlights a specific answer to a question in a box. The Google answer box is also known as a featured snippet, and it's a result that provides a quick answer to searched questions. So when you see those questions, people have done just that, asked and answered the question on their website, and Google rewards them and highlights them in a Google box. thing you do, get a security certificate from your website host. Great hosts include and install them for you. GoDaddy is not a great host anymore. They now charge you to install SSLs. They charge you for each individual one because you need 4 for a website, because there is a Canasite.com and then www.canasite.com. So that's considered 2 different versions requiring certificates for each. Great website hosts include them at no additional charge. In 2014, Google announced that they would start ranking secure sites over non-secure sites when possible. So if you have a similar content and domain rating to your competitor and your site isn't secure and theirs is, they're going to show your competitor over yours. Google wants every website on the internet to be secure, and eventually they may stop showing unsecure sites at all. Again, great hosts make it easy. This is All-in-One SEO was the other plugin I mentioned for SEO, for WordPress. So to determine if a website is secure, in the address bar at the top, there's a little lock that you see. If there's a little lock, it means the site's secure and you are safe to make a purchase, for example, with your credit card information. Never enter your credit card information into a site that's not secure. And I have a picture that you're not seeing right now, but if you click on, hey, here we go. If you click on the link, it'll tell you it's secure, and it'll show you the security settings and the certificate, none of which you probably care about, but just that little visual icon is what you need to see. Oh. Okay. The next thing is automate routine backups daily for e-commerce. So if you're selling something on your website and your website went down tomorrow, what would you do? Would you have all your orders backed up? Do you have that information? We don't want to lose it, so we're going to automate routine site backups. Most hosts provide it now and take a daily backup. And I think many of them store it for like 30 days. So you've got like 30 days of backup. They're traditionally not a large expense. So for example, some web hosts charge an extra $3, and it's well worth the $3. And one-click backups are now the standard. So if you're going to make changes to your website, you should be able to back it up before you do, in case anything goes wrong. So looking for a host that has on-demand backups or one-click backups is great. Consider a security plugin or additional security services provided by your host. I would say that Shopify, Squarespace, those types of builder platforms are pretty secure and have, their own security setups, so you wouldn't do anything with them. But if you're running a WordPress site, you might consider WordFence as the most popular one. It's also free, and it will block when people are trying to hack your website, and it'll block IPs, things like that. And that's it's great, particularly for websites without e-commerce that aren't being looked at every day by you. WordFence is the WordPress plugin. Is your site fast? I got another free test to see if your website is fast. It's Google's PageSpeed Insights. Again, these links are available on our website, canasite.com/whitelabelworldexpo. And this is what the test looks like, although again, they've changed it recently, giving it a little bit more of a facelift, but basically you put in your URL, you click the button, and it's going to give you both a mobile and a desktop speed score. This one is a 97 on desktop and a 77 on mobile. That's pretty good. Google is hard to please when it comes to mobile scores, but a general rule of thumb for you is your website should load in 2 to 3 seconds. Any more than that, people tend to get bored and leave. There are things you can do to improve your speed. Optimize your image sizes and the format. So if you have really large files, like over 1 megabyte, it's going to slow down the load on your site. There are ways that you can optimize your images, like Photoshop, or there are free online tools if you're not software savvy in that way. And then the format, WebP, is a format that reduces, again, the file size and loads quickly. The traditional format is JPEG and PNGs. PNGs are larger files, but they're necessary when you're doing like transparent effects. But WebP compresses and protects your images from being used elsewhere. Now, people can always screenshot your stuff, but with WebP, they can't just pull it onto their desktop in the file. Or at least they do, they pull the WebP file, and that's an unusable file format for Photoshop and other things like that. Okay, and then we can also switch hosts if your site is not doing well and you've done everything you can and it's still not loading well. Switch hosts, upgrade your plan, or add resources. And your host should be able to walk you through those options, but don't be afraid to shop other hosts. There's lots out there. And great hosts include a content delivery network. Basically, it's a network that stores your files off-site in different places so that it loads faster. There's really nothing you have to do other than enable it, so it's a nice, easy way to speed up your site, particularly if you have a lot of images or a lot of pages. Yeah. The next section is know and love your audience. Okay, so do you really know your audience? Oh, they're kind of flickered for a minute. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is analyze your offerings and their benefits, and then make a list of who needs those benefits. Typically called buyer personas, if you're familiar with that term. And if you haven't already, research your competition and their customers. A SWOT analysis is a typical thing that, or marketing term, if you will, that you determine strengths, weaknesses. Now I'm forgetting what the other two stand for. Opportunities and threats, I believe. And it's a quadrant thing, so you write out your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, and then use that information to speak to your visitors in an authentic tone. And who is your competition? Both from the perspective of your local competition, as well as your competition online, which could be two totally different groups. Search for the terms that you want your customers to use, and find and see who else is in the results with you, and how are they speaking to their customers. The next one is use social media to your advantage. Who's following your competition online? Instagram is a great free resource to learn more about your competitors and potential customers. You can view your competition's profile and then look at who's following them and what do they have in common. Maybe you even start reaching out to people. Take it a step further, engage with them, like their posts, follow them, etc. And the last one, which maybe we'll get to see, is creating landing pages for distinct buyer personas. So you're going to use the information and then consider creating tailor-made landing pages for each buyer persona. A classic example of this is a company that serves both retail and wholesale. The retailer's needs and the wholesaler's needs are totally different, and it would be different language that speaks to them, and search terms that you can use to target them. So obviously people who are looking for wholesale products are searching in a different way and using different terms than the retail products. And then you'll create a page for each group, and in theory, if they're searching for wholesale, they'll land on your wholesale page, which is the information that you want to deliver to them. you offer your service in different states, you might make 2 different state pages that use language or pain points to that particular geographic location. How is your audience using your website? And the first thing we're going to do is look at Google Analytics and Search Console. I mentioned Search Console earlier. Google Analytics is also a free tool by Google. Analytics requires you to copy and paste a little bit of code from there onto your website. Depending on the platform, you might only need to copy and paste the unique ID. But the tools provide a ton of information about your visitors, how they found you, what pages they're visiting, what products they're visiting most. You can determine a lot about product popularity, or also maybe what's not connecting with the buyer. Why are they all coming to my CBD cream page but no one's buying? What's the issue? Am I not explaining my product well enough, etc.? Then we're going to identify metrics that matter to you and your brand. So it could be a lot of different things. It could be traffic channels. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from Google? Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from an email you sent out? And determine the ways or which, whatever you're doing that's working and not working. Like if your emails are not getting clicks, then we need to work on our emails. Bounce rate, for example, I mentioned bounce rate is when someone comes to your website and they leave immediately. If you've got 100% bounce rate, then there's something wrong with your page. And maybe you're just not marketing the page to the right customer. So a lot of people want to rank number 1 for CBD, for example. Most people searching the word CBD are looking for the definition, what it is, learning like basic general educational information, and they're not exactly the people who are ready to make a purchase. So ranking number 1 for CBD is probably ineffective. I would rather rank for CBD-infused gummies, for example. That's someone who's searching for a particular product, and they're going and potentially making the purchase. You can also ask a lot of questions like, what kind of content should I create? What product pages are people visiting? Like I mentioned, are people finding me through social media? How many people are viewing my website on mobile? If 90% of my traffic is mobile, again, you need to make sure we have a responsive website. Sorry, guys. Right now, I'd be showing you a picture of Google Analytics and what it looks like. So the image I had was a screenshot of our traffic in 2019 and how people were finding us. Most of them were coming directly to my website as opposed to finding us in Google. We built our business on word of mouth, so that makes sense. If the majority of your traffic is coming from referrals like Leafly or Weedmaps or CBD directories, etc., then you may want to consider assigning more resources there. Again, this would be a picture of performance in Google Search Console, and I was demonstrating that I could see 41,000 users saw this site in the search results, and almost 3,000 of those clicked on it. So that gives us our click-through rate. And so again, if that's a pretty good click-through rate, 6.7%. I would say like 2% and lower is a little bit weak. But anywhere from 5 to 10% or more is amazing. And so again, if your click-through rate is pretty low, then people are finding my site, but I'm coming up for the wrong search terms because they're not clicking on it. So again, back to my content, and am I asking the right questions, using the right language to speak to them. actions and adjustments and resulting traffic and sales. So using some of the metrics that you determine might be useful to you, make a little chart, keep a little notebook paper, keep a little document on your computer, and just write down in May, I had this many visits, and in June I had this many visits, and keep yourself a little running list to see some trends. That information is always available in analytics, like I said, but that can sometimes be overwhelming. So keep a running spreadsheet and see if the changes that you make are resulting in better traffic. So I rewrote my homepage content on May 1st, and I'm going to look at June 1st and see if I had an increase in whatever metric I'm following, and that would indicate to me if it's working or not. Pro tips. What is your preferred website platform? We get asked a lot. Ours is WordPress because you own the site forever. It's scalable. It has complex features and functionality if you need it. Squarespace would be our other favorite because it's affordable. It's very simple to use. It's great for startups and great for people who like to do some DIY marketing. If you're kind of savvy with design or you like to write your content, things like that, Squarespace just makes it really easy to get started on your own. And who is your preferred WordPress host? We prefer WP Engine. It's a host made specifically for WordPress. Their customer support is awesome, 24/7, and they have all those great things I talked about, like the SSL, the Content Delivery Network, all of those, and it's with our coupon code, which I'm happy to share. It's on the link that I mentioned. We'll get you under $30 a month. So it's a pretty great price. Now you can go find economical hosting, like we talked about GoDaddy, Bluehost, SiteGround. Those, their plans start at like $3 a month. But when you add in backups and you add in all these other things, pretty soon you're up to the same price you would have paid with a really high quality host. Then we also recommend Liquid Web if you are not using WordPress but need a host. If you have technical knowledge, if you're familiar with cPanel, those sorts of things, Liquid Web is another alternative, and it is more in like the $10 range. Okay. Make your move. Do you have a strong foundation? Your website is your digital headquarters. Most of your other marketing efforts like social, email, paid ads, messaging, etc. lead back to your website. So if you're planning on doing any sort of digital marketing, you need to lead them to a great website to convert them to a customer. What is your strength? So instead of just jumping in and trying to do it all, I suggest finding your strength and starting there. So do you have a lot of content, brochures, things like that you already have as assets? Use that information to start a blog. Do you have a client list or leads? If you do, I would start an email campaign. Do you have a social following already? Do you have a following on Instagram or whatnot? Go ahead and get personal with your audience. Start talking to them about what they want to see or what they need or what are their pain points, etc. And if you have a budget, get strategic with a boutique agency, which is like us. My point is I don't recommend trying to do it all, at least not until you're ready. It might make it harder to determine what is or isn't working, and it becomes harder to do them all consistently. So if you have a team or an agency, that's fantastic. If you are a solopreneur, master one effort, then move on to the next. And this is the time that I would ask if anyone has any questions.